It's about providing a safe space, somewhere that you can pick the phone up, it can be confidential, and you can just basically, let off steam.
Just tell us your name.
Yep, Philip Knight.
And how long have you been at the FA?
I've been in the current role for just over 5 years.
And can you tell us what that current role is?
I am the Observer Support Team Lead.
And describe your role in 3 words.
Developing match officials, I think is probably the best way of summing that up. I support the Observer Support Team. I help to develop the observers. Obviously, observers play a really important role in the development of match officials. So the better we can make our observers, then I would like to think the better we're going to be able to develop match officials. So really just developing the match observers so they can offer the best service to the referees.
Can you just talk about the role of the observer?
Yeah, so the observer really has 2 roles for me. One is the guardian of standards, so making sure that the laws of the game are applied and applied correctly. But also then looking at the individual who's applying them and advising and guiding and doing the best they can do to improve performance. So it's a little bit about the rules and applying the rules, but also about developing the person. So it's really 2-pronged.
On the role of the observer, what are for you the important qualities that they need to possess?
Empathy is really important in terms of recognising that you are talking to a human being, and there are occasions when sadly we do have to deliver bad news, about an error that's been made in the game, and it's important we do that in the right way, that we're as empathic as possible. Integrity, clearly, recognising the importance of the merit table. And patience, I think clearly, when you're in the dressing room, and an awareness and attentiveness to detail. We only get one chance to watch the game, so it's important that we don't miss key moments, because it's those key moments that are going to inform the marks that we award the referee.
And how should a referee approach an observer who's been appointed to their game?
I would like to think they'll do it with a degree of trust, openness and honesty, absence of fear. The observer is not there to catch you out. The observer is not there to find fault. The observer should want you to do well. So I would certainly, say that trust and respect is important, and confidence. Just going in and recognising that the observer is there for them, as opposed to wanting to be against them.
And how does that observer compile their report for the match officials?
Well, I said earlier on about the awareness and attentiveness to detail. And it's really important, obviously, the observer will be there probably about an hour before the game, get settled in, and then we'll watch the game and take exhaustive notes, but really based on timed evidence. We then go home, we look at that evidence, and then we build the report from the evidence. So it's an objective process that's built on what the observer's seen, what he or she has seen during the game. We then put that into our online form, and then that calculates the mark. And so what that means, I'd like to think, is that the match official then is being rewarded on the basis of what he or she's done, as opposed to any other reasons that the observer might have wanted to provide a mark. So it's a really objective, measured process.
Mental health champions.
Yes.
Can you tell us a bit about that role?
Yeah, I support the Mental Health Champions scheme, which I really do see as a huge privilege. The Mental Health Champions are members of the referee workforce, so we're all current or existing members of the referee team or observers, and we basically provide support to match officials who may need a shoulder to cry on. They may just want to talk about a game that they've had, an issue they've had at home, and it's about providing a safe space, somewhere that you can pick the phone up, it can be confidential, and you can just basically let off steam, and we can then refer to other professional organisations who might be able to provide additional support if it's needed.
And what do you enjoy most about your role?
I think it's the variety. I think that one day I can be dealing with an observer who perhaps has had a bit of an unfortunate visit and is a bit confused by the report. The next day I might be dealing with a match official who wants to appeal, or there might be a presentation to do to observers or to match officials. So there's a real variety, and then of course on top of that we then put into the mix the mental health champions role as well. So as I said, it's a privilege to be involved in such a broad piece of work.
And what's been your most satisfying moment during your entire time with the FA?
I think for me it was the launch of the match official feedback programme. When we first mooted the idea, there was a real nervousness that saying to observers who, by definition, are the people who give feedback, that all of a sudden you're actually going to be receiving feedback, and that the boot's going to be on the other foot. There was some nervousness about how they might receive that. So I've been really pleased by the way that they have received it, they embrace it, and it's gone from strength to strength, and it gives us an opportunity to really be objective and measured in giving the match officials feedback about how we're doing, where we're doing well, where we're doing less well, and it identifies the priorities that we need to work on for future development of the observer workforce.
And then finally, what were your targets for 2026?
This has been a big season for us. We've rolled out a brand new observer form, and so myself and the support team are just committed really to making sure that rollout is as successful as it can be. That we embed the changes, that we make the match officials comfortable with the changes we've made, and the observers equally comfortable using the form to better the process.
And then moving on to you as a referee.
Yeah.
So how long have you been a match official?
Almost longer than I care to remember. I came into it late. I didn't start refereeing until I was 35. Which by my very basic maths tells me I've now been refereeing for 25 years, which also, of course, gives away my age.
And what level did you achieve on the pitch?
I was very fortunate to achieve level 2 as it was then, and I had 3 seasons on the Football League line, which was a wonderful experience, and one I never thought I'd have coming into the game so late.
So you mentioned that coming to the game late. What made you decide to become a match official?
I basically retired from work, so I was sort of mooching about, looking for things to do. It was clear that I couldn't play football at that time. Well, I couldn't play football when I was 20, let alone when I was 35. And referee just opened an avenue, and I didn't regret it from the moment I started the course through to today.
Whistle or flag?
Flag. I love the technical side of being an assistant referee. Nothing against our referee colleagues, but I think there's a skill set to being an AR, which I think is really enjoyable.
And if you could go back in time, what piece of advice would you give yourself when you booked onto that course?
I think just to continue enjoying it. I sometimes talk to match officials who I get the sense that because of the competitive nature and the desperation to climb the ladder, that some of the enjoyment goes. And as an observer and as a fan of football, there's nothing nicer than seeing a referee who's really comfortable and enjoying the experience. So refereeing, relaxed, composed, and enjoying it, I think is great to watch.